This week's Ballistic Minute is brought to you by Alliance Custom Armory, rifles built to perform.
In this video, we're going to talk about brass prep. Now, in this case, we're using some new brass. If you're not using new brass, we're assuming you've done the sizing of it. So primers should be knocked out and your brass should be sized. The tools we're going to use next are made by Lee. This is the trimming tool that we use. And the reason why we use this tool is with some of the other universal trimmers where you have to set the length each time you go from one setting or change calibers, everything's got to be changed, and it's very difficult to get consistent brass length, time and time again. And with this tool, the way it works is you have a cutter. They come in two parts. There's a caliber specific part that has the length gauge and a shell holder. And the shell holders are a little bit different. They're threaded on the inside, and they screw onto a stud that comes as a separate part. The other part is this stud that you can chuck up in a drill, and the cutter. These are generic parts and will work for any caliber. Okay, so we take the cutter, and a length gauge screws into the cutter. And then the shell holder threads onto the stud. And then you have a case, slides into the shell holder, and then it tightens up on that stud. And then the length gauge goes through the case mouth, little tight one there, and then the tip of it goes through the flash hole and hits the base of the lock stud, and that determines your length. So your length is always going to be exactly the point of this to your cutter. So very consistent. Every time you use this, you're going to get brass the exact same length. You don't even need a caliper when you use this method. Okay, so you just take this part and chuck it up in a drill, and now you can do all this trimming under power. And basically you just run this in and spin it, and if it's at all long, it'll remove it. And it looks like it probably took off a little over half of the case mouth on one side where it was a little bit long. This will also square up your brass and make it very even. So we like to do it even on new brass. Okay, then the next step, this is a tool that's made by Lyman, and it screws apart, and it comes with all different kinds of attachments. There's primer pocket cleaners, large and small, and primer pocket uniformers, and then the inside and outside deburr or chamfer tool. So I like to cut the outside first, and on new brass you just really need to touch it because it's not like you have a big lip of brass there you're trying to remove. And then on the inside I do last. That's the last thing the bullet touches, so we do that last. And you just want a little bit of a chamfer, don't overdo it. And then if you're using used brass, you want to clean that primer pocket out. This is new brass, so it wouldn't apply, but these things are designed to thread off of here, and you can screw this tool in there to clean primer pockets. Or what I like to do is you can actually chuck this up in the drill also, and then you can do this same process under power. All you gotta do is basically just like that. Give it a quick turn while you're in there, and they'll be clean. That's the brass prep that we go through, and this case is now ready to prime and charge.